Oil-fermented tofu, known in Chinese as Mei Dou Fu, is more than just a dish. It's a deep-rooted expression of Chinese culinary tradition, especially in the southern provinces like Guizhou, Hunan, and Jiangxi, where strong flavors and fermentation are celebrated. The process begins with one of the most humble and ancient ingredients in Chinese cuisine, tofu. But not just any tofu. This recipe calls for aged, firm tofu, which has a dense texture and lower moisture content, ideal for withstanding the long transformation it's about to undergo. The tofu is first cut into small, uniform cubes, usually about 2 centimeters in size, and then laid out gently on a bamboo tray. This isn't just for aesthetics. Bamboo allows air to circulate freely, ensuring the tofu dries evenly from all sides. These tofu cubes are left to air dry for 2 to 3 days in a well-ventilated, shaded environment. During this time, the tofu begins to yellow slightly, the surface tightens, and excess water evaporates. This drying step is crucial. Too much moisture later on can ruin the fermentation process, while proper drying creates a resilient outer skin and primes the tofu for what's next. Once dried, the tofu is carefully moved into a fermentation area. Traditionally, this might be a corner of a quiet storeroom, a wooden shelf near a kitchen window, or even a large woven basket loosely covered with gauze. The key here is airflow and cleanliness. Over the next 7 to 10 days, the tofu cubes begin to develop white or slightly gray mold on the surface, a sign not of spoilage, but success. This is beneficial mold, similar to the kind used in blue cheese or fermented soybean products, and it brings with it a strong, savory aroma. It's a scent that might surprise those unfamiliar with Chinese fermented foods, sharp, cheesy, even a bit funky, but that's exactly what gives Mei Dou Fu its iconic taste. The texture during this stage also begins to change, becoming softer and creamier on the inside while still firm on the outside. As the fermentation progresses, the flavors deepen, and the tofu becomes a small sponge of umami, waiting to soak up spices and oil. When this oil is poured over the spices, it creates a loud sizzle and an intense fragrance. The bubbling moment is pure drama, an explosion of color and scent. After the oil cools a bit, it's seasoned with a generous pinch of salt, some soy sauce for umami, and a splash of baijiu or Chinese rice wine, which adds depth and also acts as a mild preservative. This chili oil isn't just spicy, it's aromatic, slightly numbing from the Sichuan peppercorns, and layered with garlic heat and ginger warmth. When the tofu is fully fermented, each cube is carefully inspected. Using clean hands or chopsticks, the tofu is gently rinsed to remove any loose mold on the surface, then patted dry with a clean cloth. Once dried, the tofu is placed into sterilized glass jars or clay pots, and the cooled chili oil is poured over it, ensuring every piece is completely submerged. Sealing the jar marks the final stage, but the flavors don't stop developing there. These jars are stored for another 2 to 3 days at room temperature or in a cool pantry, allowing the tofu to absorb the chili oil and spices deeply. The oil penetrates the fermented sponge-like tofu, binding heat, aroma, and umami into every pore. After this final soak, the tofu is ready to serve. Each cube is slightly crisp on the outside from drying and oil contact, but melts in the mouth with a creamy, fermented richness that's bold, savory, and unlike anything else. Mei Dou Fu is often eaten as a cold side dish, paired with steamed rice, congee, or plain buns. Some people add it to noodles or eat it with pickled vegetables. Despite its pungent smell, the flavor is highly addictive. Those who try it often find themselves craving its unique balance of creamy texture, spicy kick, and funky depth. It's a dish that speaks to patience, resourcefulness, and the ancient Chinese art of fermentation. And while